Thus did all the children of Israel, as Yahawashi commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. And it came to pass the selfsame day that Yahawashi did bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their armies.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay, now I want you to go into one more thing. I'm going to give you a little treat. This right here. Just start reading from there. This is the day of Nicanor, which you got this guy's. Well, I'm gonna just say this. You guys think you high priest and chief high priest and all that, and you know the scriptures. When we teach this lesson right here, y'all gonna start teaching the same lesson.
Yep.
All right, read the top.
It says, part 1, what is Nicanor Day?
Yeah, what is the day of Nicanor, Yom Nicanor? Now I'm gonna say this. In the case of IUIC, they teach this. They're the only group out there that really teach that. Because even if you go to Google, their site come up. And they were teaching that, Nathan was teaching that back from 1997. Because one brother, when we was up at the Connecticut school, came to me and said, well, Nathan is going off because they're teaching about Nicanor and Simon and all that. And then I said, no, they're not going off. They're not going off. But we're going to go into this, man. Now watch how many guys become experts on Nicanor. We're going to teach a class on this. Go ahead.
We break it down.
We're going to break it down right. Tahar didn't break it down right. We're going to break it down right for him. See, I already knew that, brother. I knew all of that.
We're going to correct you on that.
We're going to correct.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Nicanor Day celebrates Judah Maccabee's defeat of Nicanor the Elephantarch, meaning master of elephants.
Yep.
Nicanor was a Syrian Greek military officer whom King Demetrius I Soter, nephew of Antiochus IV Epiphanes, the villain of Hanukkah.
That's good, I like that. The villain of Hanukkah. Go ahead.
Appointed governor of Judea. This was after the Hanukkah story, as Antiochus Epiphanes had already died. The Judeans under Judah Maccabee had already recaptured the temple and rededicated it, and were living in a sort of reproachment.
And that's in John 10, showing you that Yahawashi and the Israelites in Jerusalem during the time of Yahawashi, they knew about the Nicanor, they knew about Simon, they knew about the Maccabees. They knew about the Hanukkah, which is the feast of the dedication. When Judas Maccabees rededicated the temple, man, and they celebrated that. Go ahead.
We're living in a sort of reproachment. We're living in a sort of reproachment with the Syrian Greeks, who were engaged in
which were Edomites that came out of Syria, because the Seleucid dynasty, they came out of Syria, so they were being called Syrians. It wasn't Syrians, they were Edomites. Go ahead.
In factional strife. The story behind the day of celebration begins when the former high priest named Alcimus, who was fully Hellenized and no longer...
Fully Hellenized meaning he was an Israelite, but he was following them Greek ways. All right? He's a Selite. Go ahead, but he was still in some kind of position. Go ahead.
And no longer observant of Judaism, wishes to regain his position.
So you see what he did? He totally put the Israelite doctrine to the side, and he became Greek. You know?
Straight up Greek.
Go ahead. That's why when you read the New Testament in the scriptures, it speaks about the Greeks, the Grecians, the Greeks, like in Galatians, the 3rd chapter, around the 16th verse, not the 16th, 28th verse, I believe, where it speaks about the Greeks.
No difference between them.
Go to it. I believe it was 28th verse.
3 and 28, yeah.
That was talking about Israelites. So people would see it and say, see, those are white people right there. No, it's talking about Israelites during that period of time that put away their culture, so to speak, and followed the way of the Greeks. But some of them came back out of that.
Right.
All right? Go ahead. Read on.
Galatians 3 and 28. There's neither Jew nor Greek.
Now, what that's talking about is neither Jew, which you raise up as an Israelite, or Greek, meaning an Israelite that lost his religion and coming back into this truth. That's all that means.
Like us.
Exactly, because we were all Greeks. We were all Gentiles.
Yeah,
Go ahead, read on. That's all I need on that. Go ahead.
Okay, it says, who was a relative, it says, Hellenized and no longer observant of Judaism, wishes to regain his position as high priest. To do so, he goes to King Demetrius, who was a relative newcomer to local politics, having only recently taken the kingdom from his cousin Antiochus IV Eupator, Epiphanes' son. Alcimus brings expensive gifts to the king and claims that the Maccabees and his followers were dissidents, a half-truth, and had forcibly removed him from his office as an untruth, though I imagine Judah would have removed Alcimus if he had still been in office. Demetrius accepts the story and sends Nicanor to Judea as governor with the express command to protect Alcimus' position and keep Judah Maccabee at a distance. Nicanor at first attempts to compromise with Judah, but under pressure from Demetrius, he decides to arrest Judah and his followers. Judah escapes, and Nicanor, furious, enters the temple looking for him. When the priests say they have no idea where Judah is, Nicanor stretches out his right arm and issues his infamous threat. If you do not hand over Judah to me as a prisoner, I will level this precinct of the Most High to the ground and tear down the altars.
Now, y'all catch that? I will level this precinct. Now, when you look up the word precinct, what do you got in the police department? You got precincts, right? They're numbered, right?
Yep.
So that's where they got that from. They got that from them Greeks. Now, the word precinct, when you look it up, it translates into jurisdiction. And when you look up the word precinct, it means to put a wall, whether it be invisible, a wall around something, a wall around it, like a garrison. Put a wall around something, and you have certain guys that enforce that law.
That's right.
See, now you have precincts in the city or whatever, precincts wherever you go in America. You have the police that go around and patrol, and there's like a street that when you go past that street, you outside that precinct. That's why if you in hot pursuit by the police in New York and you flee over to New Jersey, the cops can't go after you. But now they got a new law, which came out years back in the 90s, where if you're in pursuit, you can keep following him. But back then, you had to stop and you had to call New Jersey. Like you had a police officer, New York NYPD. Let's say he's shopping with his family in New Jersey. He sees a guy go through a red light. Can he stop him? No, because he's outside of his jurisdiction. So that's what the word precinct means. That's what it means. But back then they actually built walls around it. And you know what I'm saying? So that's where they got it from. Go ahead.
I got the definition if you want it.
Go ahead.
This is the definition of precinct. It says the area within the walls or perceived boundaries of a particular...
Yeah, because now we don't have walls, but we have boundaries. The police have boundaries. You know?
Yep.
That's it? Go ahead.
No, it says the area within the walls or perceived boundaries of a particular building or place.
Check that out. Go ahead.
So it says, if you do not hand over Judah to me as a prisoner, I will level this precinct of the Most High to the ground and tear down the altar and build here a notable temple to Dionysus. 2 Maccabees 14:33. Only a few years after Hanukkah, the temple was threatened yet again. Nicanor gathers an army, forced Judean conscripts, and chases down Judah and his followers. At first, Nicanor imagines that he will trick Judah by attacking on Shabbat, but his own army refuses to comply since they also keep Shabbat. Meanwhile,
did you hear that?
Yeah.
Don't you gotta catch it. You had Israelites that were joining with this devil, Nicanor, to fight against other Israelites. And when they said we're gonna get them on the Sabbath, he said no, we don't fight on the Sabbath. You know, so that showed you that the Israelites were coming against Israelites.
Pretty much his whole army, because he said, but
they were all Israelites. Yep. Go ahead.
Meanwhile, Judah, encamped with his forces, has a vision. In this vision,
now check this out. Go ahead.
The murdered high priest Onias, Hananiah, visits him and gives him words of encouragement. He then introduces Judah to another.
So you're telling me that Judas Maccabees, one of the spiritual men, he was getting visions and all that. As you read down, he got a Jeremiah into him, man, and gave him a golden sword.
Look at that.
Go ahead. I told you it's going to be a treat. Go ahead.
He then introduces Judah to another specter who was standing with him, an old man that turns out to be none but prophet Jeremiah. Jeremiah stretches out his arm to Judah him a golden sword.
Amen.
Hey, that might be where they got the, you know, where he said.
Yeah, and this sign comes.
That's right.
It says, take the sword, says Jeremiah, as a gift from the Most High of division. They are encouraged and go out to do battle against
And they had the idol.
awakens and tells his amen this forth. After offering prayer, Judah pleased, Judah finds his body among the slain from the head and arm, declaring that Nicanor's blaspheming fed to them. The priests react with relief. He has kept his own place under. After all that shit they want. After Nicanor's head down. The story, this is how it went with Nicanor, and from that time the city itself.
Israel, we also call Hebrew. I want to say he was a Hebrew.
Will bring my story. So that's the answer to the question. What was that? A couple of months back. Asked brother, I think it was a couple of months back. Said,
Where it says in English before this, it says as you knew.